The Oxford TCC is an official language certificate based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages that assesses the 5 main English language skills: use of English, reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Its final objective is to certify candidates in these skills at any level from A1 to C2. In addition to being an official certificate, the Oxford TCC helps candidates identify their areas of improvement through its 3-step process. Diagnostic. Its main objective is to detect the candidate's initial English level within the CEFR. Mock. Verifies the candidate's English level obtained in the diagnostic and also provides practice before the final exam. Certification. It certifies the candidate's English skills in the level obtained. It includes a speaking examination which is carried out by native English speakers. What are the benefits of having the Oxford TCC in your school? The price is accessible. The cost is the same for all levels. Examination dates are available all year round. The school decides when to apply the exams. The digital results are sent 5 days after taking the exam, and candidates will receive the exact percentages obtained in each of the skills tested. The physical copy of the certificate is delivered 3 weeks after finalizing the process, including the speaking assessment. The whole process takes place within the school facilities. The Oxford TCC is the best option for certifying the English level of students and teachers alike.
Do you know the game Risk? Risk is a strategy board game with the ultimate goal of conquering the world. Gear is very similar. Gear is the world that each student tries to conquer by completing English exercises.
Gear is the new digital platform that includes exercises based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, designed to improve the student's English level. It includes practice exercises for the entirety of the school year. You can see the students' progress with personalized and thorough reports. Much more interactive platform. Recap section where students are able to retake the exercises that were the most challenging for them. The teacher has full control of the user's progress on the platform and their calendar. More exercises, more content, and much, much more. Do you want to conquer the world of English?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I will put everyone on mute, okay, for us to have a better listening. Well, my name is Ana Cláudia Padua. I am a B.E.O World representative in Brazil, and today I'll be your host in this online conference. Thank you so much for your presence, and it's very nice to start the B.E.O Online International Summit with you all. Today we're going to have Carolina Bava. She's an expert in classroom management for young learners. She's an English teacher and also a psychotherapist. She's going to share with us a little bit more about the social emotional side of teaching and learning, and for sure it will be very helpful for everyone here. I ask you please, if you have any questions, right here in this chat that you are writing me right now, and I will read everything to Carolina by the end of our presentation. If we don't have enough time, I will send you my email here in this chat as well, and then I can help you with all of your questions. Well, thank you so much for your presence, for being here. I hope you all have a great week of knowledge. And Carolina, thank you so much for your support. When you can, Carolina, we are more than ready to start.
Okay, hello everyone. I hope that you're safe and that your families and friends are also safe. As Ana Claudia said, I'm going to talk about the social emotional part of learning and teaching. Okay, let's begin. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can follow my presentation and we'll talk about it as we go, okay? Let me share it with you.
Carolina, we can hear you.
Sorry, okay, now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, well, I'll go from the beginning. Well, as Ana Claudia told you, I'm a psychotherapist. I mainly work with kids and adolescents. And I am co-founder of a group called Psico Espacio Fractal, which main objective is to provide courses and conferences on different subjects regarding what you want. For example, it could be the social emotional part of a lot of things. It could be for schools, it could be for personal growth, etc. Okay? So today I'm going to talk about the social emotional parts of learning and teaching. Okay, I want to begin by telling you that the social emotional development in children is very important and it is one of the basics for children to learn. I don't know, it keeps muting me, Ana Claudia.
Oh, okay. I think it was here in the Zoom. I'm sorry. Now we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the social emotional development in children, it's the basis for learning, okay, and the development in life, okay? So we're gonna part from that premise, okay, that children need to learn how to conduct in social matters, but nevertheless, each and every one of them has their own personalities and their own needs. So we have to understand like the global concept of this, but we also need to focus on special needs for each children depending on what they need and what they are going through at that moment in their lives, okay? Okay, so this whole conference is going to be based on a theory called conscious discipline, okay? It is an evidence-based trauma-informed approach that was created by Dr. Becky Bailey. She is an internationally recognized expert in childhood and developmental psychology. You can look it up in the internet. You can go to consciousdiscipline.com and you will find a lot of resources, a lot of videos, and more information on the subject, okay? So this is a theory that can be applied in the classroom and in your daily lives. So let's see what's about, okay? It's made out of 4 special components. The base of conscious discipline is the brain state model that I will talk about it a little bit later. Then it's the 7 powers for conscious adults, then creating the school family, and then the 7 skills of discipline. So what she tells us is that in order to be a successful teacher and in order to have successful classroom experiences, what we have to do is to apply conscious discipline in our daily lives. Okay, so once we are conscious adults, we can model for children what being conscious looks like, what we expect from them, and how they can use these skills in their daily lives in order to behave in school, in order to behave with their families, in order to get to know themselves and use all of these skills throughout their lives. So in order for children to learn, they need to feel safe and loved in their environment, and they need to achieve the executive state of the brain, okay? What is the 3 states of the brain? No, let's begin by that, okay? And they regard conflict resolution, how our brain works when we are facing conflict. Okay, first it's the survival state, which asks, am I safe? It's triggered by an event that makes us feel threatened, and we react by either defending ourselves, attacking, or surrendering. For example, this is very clear when you're facing a situation where your life is threatened. For example, an earthquake or an attack by a lion, something like that, okay? So your brain, the first reaction of your brain is fear. You know that you're not safe because your life is at risk. So you can either attack the lion, you can defend yourself, or you can surrender and just don't do anything about it. Then we go to the emotional state, which is connection. And the main question is, am I loved? When things don't go our way, how do we react, and how do parents, adults react? It's based on our skill sets. You cannot teach a child how to react in a way that you don't know how to react. For example, this is very clear when, let's say, your parents, when you misbehaved, they yelled at you. You're not going to be able to react any other way than yelling to your students or yelling to your own children, or to have this inside voice saying to yourself, well, you're a failure, you couldn't do it, see, I told you. No, and that threatens our emotional state and our connection. Am I loved? First, am I safe? Now that am I safe, am I loved? And then we go to the executive state of the brain, that's problem solving, and that's where we want to be most of the time when we resolve conflict. It's ready for learning, and what can I learn from this? How can I solve this? And it's to use our words, okay? So for example, it's this state where children and adults as well can learn. Your brain is ready for learning. Like a traumatic experience happened, but yet you are able to say, what can I learn from this? Okay, now I can think rationally. I can think clearly. I am safe. Okay, we assess the situation. I am safe. Okay, I am loved. Not everything that's told to me, it's absolutely true. There are a lot of situations in life that may change your perspective. And then you can go to the problem solving regarding the executive state. And the goal is to use our frontal lobe to set goals and achieve them and resolve conflict from different perspectives. So the main goal, it would be to get from the survival state to the executive state in the most situations that we can regarding life, no? But for children, it would be to behave inside a classroom, to behave with their classmates, to behave with the teacher. And how do we achieve this? What does Dr. Becky Bailey tell us about that? We have to understand that emotional needs in both children and adults are primary for learning and problem solving throughout life. So you cannot take away the emotional side of things in any situation. So you first have to understand how the child and how yourself are feeling about the situation. And you can teach what you know. Therefore, if you want to change the behavior in a child, you have to apply it on yourself. Being more conscious of your actions in order to self-regulate and help others do so. And this is how we create paths in the brain. If we only stay in the emotional state of the brain, we cannot go to the executive state without there being a path and a connection. We have to make a connection between being safe, being loved, and then making a decision that's better for us. Okay, now we go with the skills and powers that conscious discipline tell us that we can achieve. The first one will be composure, okay? In order for us to teach composure, we need to acquire it ourselves. And we need to be the person we want our children to be. With this comes a power, according to Dr. Becky Bailey once again. This whole theory is hers, and you can look more deeply into it if you want to get into the website. The power will be perception. No one can make you angry without your permission. For example, you need to take responsibility of what you're doing in that moment and realize that you have the control of your life. How you see things will be how the children will see it, because you're teaching them this emotional skills. So in order to regain composure, to have composure, you first need to breathe. One of the techniques is to breathe. There are a lot of different types of breathing that you can do with the children. You can pass from the am I safe state to an emotional one, recognize what you're feeling, and then you can go to executive state. The next one is encouragement. Children have a sense of belonging, of building a school family. So you have to empower children to be independent, but at the same time, make them feel that they are part of something, that they are part of a family or their school family. You are part of this family as well as teachers. The parents are part of this family as well, because they are the parents of the children, and the children are also part of the school family. So they need to feel that way in order to feel safe and to learn better inside the classroom. How do we do this? There are a lot of techniques to do this, but for example, one of those would be jobs. For example, one is in charge of turning off and turning on the lights. The other one is in charge of closing and opening the door. That sort of thing. And each one has a specific job that they have to make and that they have to follow, so that the society inside the classroom will work. That's the whole point. And then you get the power of unity, that we are all in this together. We are part of this family, and if you as a member of a family are not feeling great, the rest of the members, we can help you feel better. We can breathe for you, we can use several techniques in order to make you feel better, but you are part of our family, and if you're not here, we'll miss you. And if you're here, we're happy that you're here. The next one is assertiveness. This is a very tricky one because it's very complicated for children, and it's also complicated for adults as well. How to say things without sounding mean or angry, or how to tell someone something without it being taken another way that you don't want it to be taken, for example. And then he goes and he pushes his friend because his friend is the first one in the classroom, but he wants to be the first one. So that's not a behavior we encourage. That's not what we want. And we know that as adults, we used words in order to get what we want. So what we should do with the child is, hey, I can see, first of all, you have to interpret what he wanted or she wanted to say. For example, oh, I can see that you to be the first one in line, but he got first. So guess what you can do? Instead of pushing him, you can ask him, hey, can I be here right now? Can I be the first one in line? You can use your words in order to express yourself. And the power is attention. So you get more of what you focus on. What does this mean? If you are constantly telling a child what he's doing wrong, that he's not doing things the right way, that he's always pushing, that he's always biting, that he's always being mean, we tend to not be quite as assertive and successful in reacting to a situation. Can make a change is yourself. You're responsible for your choices. For example, how would it work with a child? He doesn't want to do his work. Okay, so it would be, okay, you have these two choices. You can go and you can do it at this time and you can play, and then you can, or you can do it at this time, but you will not be able to play after. What do you choose? And they feel like they have the willpower, because they are human beings and they have rights, and they do have the power to choose. But as adults, we're responsible to give them these choices and to explain it to them and to put into words what sometimes it's difficult for them to put into words. Then we go to positive intent. Positive intent creates teaching moments, especially for difficult children. For example, instead of saying you're the most difficult child that you have in your classroom, okay, the one that you can perceive as always being the one that doesn't want to work, always being the one who's fighting, always being the one, this thing, it also keeps us as teachers, it keeps us from seeing the good side of this child. So positive intent says that every conflict and every difficulty is an opportunity to show the other children and to show this child that in fact you can react in a different way, and that you can show them what to do, what you expect them to do. And the power is love. It helps you see the best in others. For example, when the same child that wanted to be at the front of the line and pushes the other one, okay, you can go and this thing about putting things into words, and you go and you tell them, oh, you wanted to go in front, but you didn't know how to say it. That's positive intent. I can see that you're trying to do your best, but you couldn't tell me what you wanted to say, so I'm going to help you. That's positive intent. And then we go to empathy. No, this is also a tricky one, and it's complicated, especially in children. It's handling fussing and fits, and it helps children process their feelings and show compassion. The power will be, this moment is how it is. For example, you hit your friend with the toy, so I take away the toy. Because then you're acting out of they are not going to feel safe with that. You're not going to make them feel safe. They are going to be threatened, and then maybe their reaction will be from a place and from a brain state where they don't feel safe. Consequences are more of a natural thing, and we're always talking about being safe. So what does this mean? For example, if you keep hitting your friend, and I already used the strategies, for example, as you wanted to tell him that you wanted to play with that too, but guess what? Right now he's playing with it. You can tell him, hey, can you lend it to me once you're done? Sure, I can do it. Something like that. Or you can say, you're not being safe with your friends. You're not being safe here. And our job is to keep everyone safe. So right now, you're not able to play with this. Later, you may. But right now, you can play either with the teddy bear or with the blocks. But you may not play with the sand because you're throwing the sand into your friend and she's not happy about it. And the power is intention. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. You can learn from this, and then you can change the behavior. And well, this is our contact information, our social network, where you can look us up if you want tips about all of this. You can also send an email to our email address, or you can look at us in our webpage. So now we can start with the questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, perfect.
Does anyone have a question for Carolina? If yes, you can write here in this chat or also talk with your microphone. Okay, first one from Luis Portillo. How do you apply this method with special kids?
When you say special kids, you mean special needs?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Well, actually, it works a lot with special needs kids. It's actually a good method with those two, because this method is based on connection. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to create connections with this type of child, but the connections that you make turn out to be a little bit more profound once you get to do it, once you get to understand it. And what can I say is that you just have to be patient and do it consistently. That's how it works, doing it consistently all the time, always seeing the positive intent behind someone's behavior, etc. No, you can do this, and it works in both ways. And also, I think that it also works because you sensibilize the rest of the classroom, and you notice the positive things about this child in specifically. Like, look how well he's doing this. Look how he now can do this. We all helped, since we're a school family, we all helped him achieve this. So that's a little bit how you can apply it. It's basically the same way and the same strategies and the same technique. I just think that you have to be a little bit more consistent with it and be patient, because once you connect with someone, the learning will come. Once they feel safe, the learning will come. So I think that's the main purpose of this whole theory and classroom management strategies. I think we have another question, right?
Yes, we do. Janet asked if we are going to share the link and the PowerPoint. I can share with you. I can send you your emails, okay? And Valerie asked, you said that we need to teach children how to be independent and autonomous. What does that look like? Can you explain a little bit about that process?
Yes, sure. Okay, of course it depends a lot of the age of the child. I mean, certain things that a 7-year-old can do, maybe a 3-year-old cannot do. They can do them, you know. And of course, as an adult, we're responsible for showing them how to do it. That's the difference between being a teacher and maybe just trying to live a life for them. So how does this look like? I think that the main thing that you can use as a strategy in this case, it would be choices. The outcome will be the outcome that you want to have because you do expect a certain behavior inside the classroom. I mean, you have to. And that's how social matters are expressed everywhere, and that's how we're supposed to behave. But you can use choices to do this. You can get the outcome that you want, but by making them feel that they are making the decision, because they are. And if they don't want to do something, they won't. But sometimes I've seen that the thing is how you ask, and if they are capable of doing it or not. You actually have to be, and to let the child be as independent as possible, as autonomous as possible. And I think that you can also do this with jobs. For example, maybe some of the jobs are easier than others, and maybe they will be a little bit harder as the development of the child keeps on going. But that's how you create autonomy, and how, by making choices, responsible choices, showing how you expect the behavior to be, and giving them responsibilities inside the classroom, because it's also their school family. They are part of it. It's like we're in a society, and they do have to be a part of it and feel like they are a part of it. So you can do or use these certain techniques in order to do so. And also always think that the child can do more than you think they can do, because they can. Sometimes as adults we think they can't because they are a child, and maybe we're a little bit well, I can do it for you because you're gonna drop it if you do it by yourself. But that's okay. When a child drops something, they can also pick it up. So I think that would be a very good advice about that.
Nice. We have more questions here. So first one, how about game as a technique to make kids love the learning environment and finally like each other and their teachers?
Absolutely. I think that games are a very important part of the child development. I think that when they are young, it's a very fine way of communication. As a psychotherapist, this is the way we use it inside the practice. I mean, children don't tend to talk like adults do and tell all the problems, and like, yeah, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. We usually use games in order to express that. And I think that games are a very good way to model social interactions, because games at a young age, they do represent social difficulties as well, because they both want to play with the same thing at the same time. They wanted to play one game, but the other friend wants to play another one. So as an adult, we have to model what it looks like, what we expect, and certain strategies for them. For example, using your words like, oh, you wanted to play, I don't know, you wanted to build a castle, but he wanted to build cars. Okay, what can we do? How about we first build a car and then we build something else? Stuff like that. But yes, I think that games are the way we learn how to interact with others when we're young.
Okay, another question. Can we apply this approach with teenagers too? They're always having that challenging attitude and it's hard to make them reflect about their behaviors.
Yes, I do think that teenagers are a little bit trickier. It's quite easy to see this approach with young children. It's very easy because you're still like the greatest person alive, and they will listen to you and they love you no matter what. And they are children, they live in fantasy world, and they love it. But I think that with teenagers you can, but a little bit differently. maybe you can change all of these skills and make them a little bit more adaptable for teenagers, because choices, as adults, we make choices every day. Jobs, we have jobs, we all do, we have to. That's part of the responsibility of being an adult. And the thing with teenagers is, I think that you have to teach them how to be adults, how to be responsible adults, how they are dealing with living their childhood behind, and that's painful. And then it's scary to be an adult because it's unknown and we don't know what's going to happen. So I think that if you appeal to the emotional side and connect with them, I think that that's your greatest power, and that's the greatest thing you can do in order to understand them and to model certain behavior. And I do believe that connection, emotional connection, is the base of everything, of human interactions, of good and bad. I do think that once you connect to with a person, a teenager, a child, an adult, you can make a difference.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for interacting in this chat as well. And we have one more question. So thank you for reacting to my first question. One more question, if you don't mind. Do you think that games should be planned only for kids? He means young learners. Or should we adapt them to be fruitful for adults as well?
I do think that it's important to adapt them for adults as well. I mean, of course, that the games change. They do change because children have this amazing ability to live they use fantasy in order to relate to the world. That's how they relate to it, and that's amazing, and that's something that sadly we lose once we grow up. We gain some other things, but we do lose that. And I do believe that, for example, having a hobby, having something that you like to do besides work and besides learning and besides the things that you're supposed to do in order to grow, you can have hobbies that fulfill you just for the fun of it, just because you like it, or go with a friend and interact with them, or call them, or talk about something, or watch a movie, or maybe not games per se, because we don't play fantasy games anymore, but we can also use a lot of things to just be with us and to get to know us and to spend a little bit more time with us, because I think that's what today's world is missing out on.
Yes, thank you, Carolina. Thank you, everyone. Do you have more questions, please? Okay. Juan, he commented that in his teaching training sections, he includes game and they react in an extremely positive way.
Yeah. Yes, because I think that also the important thing about games, as you put here in the training sessions or stuff like that, one, games do build connections. They do build emotional connections with others, you know. And I also think that they reminds us of this part of having fun and being spontaneous and connecting with other, besides like, oh, I have this degree, oh, I have this one, oh, I do this for a living, that's important, but it's also important to have this other part, to connect with another person. And well, actually, I do believe that if you're a teacher, you do have to appeal to your young side and to your child side in order to connect and in order to try to understand the world from their point of view, but children, teenagers, whatever you're teaching. And yes, it is a great icebreaker as well. And yes, it allows us to connect in different levels. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yes, and also Maria told us that if you connect emotionally with students of all ages, learning will be easier.
Absolutely. And I do believe that this is the main idea of this theory of conscious discipline. I do believe that's the main idea of it, that once you connect, everything becomes easier, because the emotional connection is what we need in order to learn, in order to live, in order to survive in this world, to know that there's someone else that cares for us, that we are important for someone else, and that we are capable of caring for someone else, and that there are important people in our lives.
We have one question here. What do you think about concus discipline? Could it be applied to adolescents?
Yes. I think I answered this question a little bit earlier, but yes.
Really? Sorry.
You can do it. Yes, it's absolutely possible to do it with teenagers.
Yes, it was very close to the another one, and we have one more. Can you suggest some of the best games that can connect easily with our students?
Yes, I do think that it depends on the age. I'm going to talk to you from my experience. I work at a toddler center, so my students are 3 years old, so they are very, very young. So, for example, we have a greeting ritual, for example. That's a way we can connect. It's kind of a playful game, but it's also a moment so you can connect with the child and then they can connect to others. For example, I go in the morning and we have a visual board. All of my child pictures are there. And I say, I don't know, is Ana Claudia here today? And they say, yes, Miss Caro, I am here today. Perfect. Okay, how would you like to be greeted? You can be greeted like a crocodile, or you can be greeted like with a high five. You choose. We're using choices there. You get to choose how do you want to do it. Okay, like this. And then you do a playful greeting. This helps, and then they can greet each other with the same options and the same choices. That's a very good one because they love it, at least at 3 years old. I think that these kind of games or this kind of greetings or this kind of connections, like they can change throughout the the age of the group that you're leading.
We have a question about your experience with teaching kids. Have you ever experienced any difficulty with managing young learners' class, especially when you feel like they don't follow your instructions?
Yes, absolutely. I do think that this is something as teachers we're constantly facing, sometimes, I mean, it's difficult, for example, with 3-year-olds, but they are kind of cute, and then you go like, oh, they are sweet. But then you get to teenagers and you're like, oh, they are just being mean. And what to do. Use positive intent. In either way, with children, with teenagers, use positive intent. What is this child trying to tell me? What is he trying to tell me by not following the instructions? What is it? Let's go beyond just, like you have to follow my instructions because I am the teacher and you have to do what I say. What's behind that? What's the emotional connection behind that behavior? And you can also do it with choices, and choices are very related to consequences. For example, you can do your work right now, or you can do it during recess. You choose. You can play right now and do your work on recess, or you can do your work right now and play in recess. What do you choose? But remember, if you don't do it during recess, if you do your homework during recess, you're not going to be able to play with your friends. That's like the natural consequence of not doing your work, of not following the instruction.
Yes. Do you have more questions, people? See here. Okay, well, oh yes, another question. Do you agree that in-class competition game can be a double-edged sword? I mean, it can result in both negative and positive outcomes.
Absolutely. Yes, I do agree. I think that I can see the same in the private practice. It's one of the things that children have most trouble with. It is like, it's always, I'm gonna win, and once they don't win, they get disappointed and they get angry and they don't want to play anymore. But I do think that, going back to the emotional connection behind it, that the main point of a game is to have fun. So what you have to understand, or what the child has to understand, is that it doesn't matter sometimes in life, because that's life. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And that's okay. It's okay with both of them. It doesn't matter. You don't always have to win. Sometimes you will win and sometimes you will lose. But I do believe that if a child or a teenager has like a tantrum because they lost, you can, one, connect with them and say, what's going on? What made you so mad? What is it? What's going on? Because I mean, we were having fun. I think that throughout the game you had fun, and that's the main point of the game, to have fun and to realize that we're all in this together, and that sometimes you will lose and sometimes you will win.
We have a question here. What is the best technique when you are having a class where all students are misbehaving?
Where all students are misbehaving?
Yes.
Okay, I do think that one of the things that you can do is, this is also a technique, well, not created, but applied by Dr. Becky Bailey. It's the breathing techniques. For example, we're all going to sit together and we're going to breathe like stars. That's a very peculiar way of Dr. Becky Bailey, okay? So we're going to do it like this. You're going to stop, you're going to take a deep breath, and then you're going to relax. We're going to do this 3 times. And there's also a very important technique. It's called the safe place. You make a corner that is a safe place. You can have a stuffed animal. You can have, I don't know, something to squish. You can have something to color. You can have a lot of things there. And if you need a moment to regain composure, you can go to the safe place. You can breathe. You can see what you're feeling. You can color, you can draw, you can do whatever you want. And then you can come back to class, because right now you're not being safe. And if everyone is misbehaving, you can once again make the breathing techniques, and you can talk about it and do the positive intent and noticing the positive. Because in a situation, it can't all be bad. It's not like that. I mean, someone must be doing something right. I mean, they showed up, they are there, maybe they liked the subject before the one that you came to teach right now. Focus on the positive, because what you focus more on, you get more of.
What would be your suggestion when a kid just don't want to participate whenever there's a game in the class?
Whenever there's a game, choices. Once again, I do think that there are choices. Is right now we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do this game. I really, really, really want you to be there. All of us want you to be there, but it's your choice. You can either sit on a chair or you can sit on the floor, but you may not interrupt the classroom. What are you going to choose to do? Because I mean, you can't force someone to be in a game they don't want to be, and that's giving them autonomy and responsibility, and probably later on he will or she will be willing to come back and be part of the game. Yes, it is very frustrating.
Yeah. What is the best way to convince teenagers to collaborate with each other in classwork when there are personal issues among them?
Personal issues, you mean like with their families, or personal issues like because he likes the same girl that he likes and then it becomes a whole thing?
Let's see.
Well, either way with both of them. with both situations, I do think that the most important thing is one, that they feel safe and that they feel a connection with you, obviously without losing this like authority figure, okay, because you're not their friends, but they do have an emotional connection with you. They see you every day, they care for you because you're there with them. And I do think that it would be important to talk about it, to talk what's going on, what's happening. And sometimes even for teenagers, because they do have the language developed, sometimes with kids, with toddlers, what happens is that their language is not fully developed. So that's why they can't put emotions into words. But when we grow up, and us and adults, it happens sometimes, we don't know how to put into words what we are feeling. So you can help through that. You can help and say, hey, I can see that you're mad. I can see that you're having a hard time. What's going on? Do you want to talk about it?
Okay, so let's have these two, and then I think it's best to end because of our time and people have other conferences.
Yeah.
So, let me check here. Okay, don't you think that emotional involvement might occasionally have counterproductive outcomes, notably in teenagers' case, as you could be steadily entangled in their very spread of personal problems, family concerns, etc.?
Yeah, emotional might occasionally have counterproductive outcomes. I think it depends. I've never seen, for example, of course, we are coming from a place where we are the adults and we do have to set some boundaries and we do know how to do so. Sometimes teenagers don't because they are still learning. So it is our job to set these boundaries very clear. And then once we do so, I cannot see why an emotional connection won't work and why it will be something harmful that way. I do think that when we as adults lose ourselves in this process and we get too involved, yes, it could be it could not have the best outcome. But I do believe that since we are using our executive state of the brain, we can do so.
Okay. Guys, I want to just to tell you that we have a couple of more minutes, and also that we have all the links for other conferences in our website, so you can check it there. Okay, next question. Don't you think that sometimes you must contact young learners' parents to learn more about their kids' unusual behaviors?
Absolutely, yes. I do think that since children are still developing in a cognitive matter, actually, like in a physical way as well, yes, we do have to have a close relationship with the parents as well. I do think it's very important. And it will help us throughout the understanding of the young learners, mainly because if something is happening at home and he is behaving a certain way inside the classroom, then we can understand what's going on, because I mean, his house is a very important part of his life, and such is the school. Yeah. If you want to learn more about this, I really encourage you to go to Conscious Discipline. I think that you can find more information and more techniques, because this was just very short, but I do recommend to do so.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. We have lots of countries here. We have Peru, Mexico, Honduras, Brazil, Egypt, Morocco. So it's amazing to have you all here. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, Carolina. It was amazing. You're great. Thank you for your support. And well, I'm here. If you need something, you can contact me by email or WhatsApp. I sent you my contacts through email. And yes, I see you in other conferences. I hope you all have a great week of knowledge. Thank you so much for everything. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So.